Just got a brush training workout in.
Very nice.
I realized I had about 23 grams maybe of protein in my shake, and I need a little bit more. I'm shooting for about 30 for breakfast. So what I did was I took an Olay wrap, which is about 4 grams of protein, and then I took a serving of the PB2, and a serving of the PB2 I believe is 5 grams. So I've got almost 10 more grams here, and so I'm going to go ahead and try to eat this. Oh, and I also, with the PB2, I actually mixed a little bit of the sugar-free maple syrup. It sweetens it up and gives it a nice little flavor, and added some cinnamon. So that's going to be really good with this, and that should keep me for a good while.
We are at the doctor's office because Isaiah is sick today. He's not feeling good, and he's been having terrible asthma issues, right, Isaiah?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you feeling now?
Well, I feel great,
You feel great?
I guess.
That's not the way I understand it. And he has a fever, so I don't think he feels that great. But at least you're looking up. He's very optimistic. This is what happened. Isaiah's to the doctor, and we just arrived in an ambulance to the hospital. Say hi, Isaiah.
Hi.
I'll explain later. All right, I've got a stir-fry bowl here with, that's not rice, that's cauliflower rice and veggies, and pork chop. I've got a 2.5 ounce pork chop that's really lean in here, and a bunch of veggies. And so I believe that is 2, 3, like 4 points, I think, for dinner. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning, and I didn't get a video up yesterday, so it's going to be 2 days in today. And I will tell you all about, I'm getting ready, got to get the kids ready and go relieve my husband, because my husband stayed in the hospital last night with our 8-year-old, and so we're going to switch places. See you in a bit.
Okay. Hi everybody, good morning. It is Wednesday morning, and I have to do a car vlog because I just can't seem to find the time to be alone to be able to let you know what's been going on. It's been so busy. Over the past couple days, our 8-year-old, now he suffers from asthma, and once in a while something sets it up very, very much, and we may sometimes end up in the emergency room. It gets that bad. And even with all the albuterol, the breathing treatments, all the medications that he's on and stuff like that, sometimes he's always been very sickly. There's a good reason for that. And he's just had a lot of, challenges early in life. And so here we were going through another bout night before last. We were just watching him all night, giving him breathing treatments all night, making sure that he could breathe. And I said, I'm going to take him to the doctor first thing in the morning. This was yesterday morning. Okay, so I took him, and his usual doctor, they're very nice there. They've always watched, all of our kids from newborn. They've always, treated them. And, there's been a few red flags with this one particular provider there. She seems to be kind of high-strung, and I think maybe a little bit, she overcompensates on her care to the point that I think that she's covering up maybe an incompetency. I hate to say it like that because she's been really nice many times, but she'll try to send us for unnecessary things. I think she overdoes it, you know what I mean? It's like he goes in for a runny nose, all of a sudden we're seeing 3 or 4 specialists or something like that because she wants us to, and it's like, and it never comes to anything, but anyway, usually we know the route. I mean, honestly, if they give him a couple of things, prednisone, he might need a shot, there's a few things that he needs to get over the hump when he goes through an asthma flare-up. But, and yes, I use all of the essential oils, and we've done everything we could, to try to do it naturally, and he's just sickly, but anyway, it's what we deal with. So what she did yesterday, though, was kind of odd. We've seen his stages before, so we know when it's super bad, and it wasn't at that point when it was super bad, but it was getting bad, so we knew he needed, a certain regimen. And for some reason, she wasn't, honestly, I don't think that she was reading her She either had a faulty device, or she wasn't reading it properly, or something. But she was saying that, and he was looking fine. I mean, you saw him. He said that he was feeling great. He didn't look like he was all hunched over and not able to breathe. And for some reason, she was saying that her device was saying his heartbeat was like 287. It's not even possible. And so she was just really worried about him, and then it was coming down. She gave him oxygen also, and he was having more albuterol treatments. And anybody who has asthma or knows anybody with asthma, you know it takes a while to get them to a normalized point. It doesn't just happen. And so he was feeling better and better. And for some reason, she was still, so then she's starting to say she wants to kind of like over-treat him again or whatever. And she called, she told me she wanted him to go to the hospital, and she wanted him to go by ambulance because she wasn't happy about his vitals. And I said, well, I mean, he looks fine. I said, can't I drive him there? I mean, it's like not that far. And I said, can't I drive him? I mean, I hate to say this because there's really no price on keeping your child, safe and healthy. And I wouldn't dare, put a price tag on it. But at the same time, I'm like, if he's okay and I've driven him here and I can drive him there, I honestly we don't need the burden of an ambulance charge. I mean, those are not cheap by any means. And I really don't think that it's covered by the insurance. And she said, no, he needs to go by insurance. I want him to stay on this oxygen. He has to go by ambulance. And honestly, when things like that happen, I get a little tense because I'm thinking, sometimes providers take a few liberties with kids, and I don't want her to see me refusing that as refusing to give him care, and then maybe bring in another entity or something like that, and I have something else I have to deal with. And so I said, well, okay, I mean, you're saying that I can't drive him. So she calls the ambulatory care, whatever you want to call it. And then first people that show up are the fire department. So there's 2 medics from the fire department, EMTs, and they're very professional, very wonderful people. And they checked him out, and, they said, you know what, in our opinion, he is okay, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even be worried about him. If you want to take him, it's up to you. You're totally the parent, you can make the call. And by this time, she's getting upset, and she's saying, I am the primary provider, and you can't override me, and I'm the one who makes the decision. And they said, no, ma'am, you are not. She is the adult, or she is the parent. She is the one who makes the final decision on this. She does not need to take him. That's what we're telling you. And then 2 more medics showed up from the ambulance, and then they checked him out, and they said, you know what? He does not need to go in an ambulance. I mean, these people transport people all the time who need to be transported to emergency care, and they all said, 4 adults who do this for a living, said he does not need to go by ambulance. It is your care. And by this time, the care provider was freaking out, and she left the room, and they tried to talk to her outside of the room, because they later told me that they tried to calm her down because they didn't want her upsetting the patient. That's not what they do. And our care provider was like totally freaking out, and she actually called the fire department a few unsavory names, which was very, very unprofessional of her, and didn't talk to me about it at all, and so I thought, okay, this is like a weird position to put me in, everybody, because these people have been caring for our kids for the last 8 years or so, and now I feel like I'm in a position where, and I know them, I've read the reviews, if I fail to take their advice, they will refuse to see my children anymore, but at the same time, and there's that, I'm looking at these 4 adults saying he doesn't need to go by ambulance, and at the same time, I'm going, what if we're all missing something and this woman has, a point? I don't want to take that risk. All of a sudden, there's this whole thing going on, and it turned out to be very ugly, and I ended up making the decision, I think more than less because I felt like it was just the safest thing to do at the time was to be able to take the ambulance, just take the ambulance. So then I left the car, and my husband asked me to leave it unlocked because he needed to drop by and get the safety seats out of the van, out of our car at the doctor's office. So I left it unlocked. Now we live in Vegas. So come to find out, my husband met me at the hospital. And so I left the car unlocked out, near the street. So I've got that worry now. And one of us has to get back and take care of that later. But of course, first thing is, what's happening with our son. So we got to the hospital, and he's seen a multitude of doctors, there. And they ended up saying they really wanted to keep him overnight. They needed to keep him overnight under observation because They didn't like the way he was breathing, and they wanted to watch him. Now, they didn't do anything for him. By this time, he's already had multiple albuterol treatments like we do at home, and they gave him a steroid shot, which was good, a corticosteroid shot, which really helped. They gave him that at the doctor's, not at the hospital. So he's been at the hospital since yesterday morning, mid-morning, and they really have done nothing but watch him. So I'm glad they're watching it. So anyway, I'm sorry to go on and on about this, but I mean, after my husband and I have talked about this for a while, I think we've had enough red flags with this provider. And the behavior was just the last straw, and perhaps maybe some bills that may have been unnecessary, that I think we're going to be finding another care provider for our children. I don't think we're going back there. It's really not impressive to me for anybody to call the professionals, the fire department, people who are out there helping us, medics and things, to call them idiots and all this other stuff, which she did, especially in front of everybody. I mean, these people are professional. They lay their lives out on the line for us all the time. They do not deserve to be called these kinds of names, and that really hurt my feelings. She did that in front of my children, who really look up to these people. So anyway, that's all that's happened. And after it was all done, and my husband ended up going and staying the night with our son, so he let me go home with the other two boys last night, and he stayed there, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to go and relieve him this morning. But when I went home, after it was all done, I was so upset by it all. I ended up eating that chicken sandwich. My husband brought me some lunch at the hospital, and that was really wonderful. And I took down all my points yesterday. But when I got home, I was so upset and so just, worn out from it all emotionally that on the way home, I said, you know what I wanted to do? And I don't use food to medicate at all. I normally don't do that. But I really felt like just stopping at Albertsons and buying like a cake and just like sitting there with a fork and just doing whatever I want. I was so upset. I was mad at the provider, and I was mad at myself, and because I don't feel like I handled it exactly the way that I wanted to. So I felt compromised, and I felt like I let myself be in a certain position. And I told you never really see me upset. I'm a little bit upset. Well, I was upset. Now I'm getting over it. It's a good thing you didn't see me yesterday. But anyway, I remembered my card that said beneficial. I have to do what's beneficial for me. And I needed to do something, but look at what I've done. I need to turn around on the highway. I passed the hospital. Alright, so I'm going to turn around. Anyway, so I went home, and I did not buy cake. I went home. I still needed something. I needed something sweet, and I needed something to just sit for a minute, but I didn't need it. I wanted it. And so what I did was I got one of those coffee cakes from Weight Watchers. And I ate that thing for 5 points. I ate half a Weight Watchers chocolate chip cookie for 2 points. And I had half a cup of Halo ice cream for 2 points. And I counted it all. And then I stopped and I said, that's enough. That's enough. You're okay. Just stop this already. This isn't changing anything. It's not making anything better. And what I really wanted was probably like a piece of chocolate or something. And I didn't have any. That's why I did that. But I don't know. Maybe a 2-ounce square of chocolate probably would have done just as well. But anyway, that's what happened yesterday. And it is a new day today. Hopefully he's coming home at 2. Anyway, that was yesterday, and I'm going to let you go for today. It's a new day, and I'm staying on my points on target, and thanks for being there. Thanks for listening. I love you guys. Bye.